This is a pay it forward talk through Life Coach University. Pay it forward talk means there is no charge for this. It is absolutely free. All we ask is that you pay it forward somehow in your own way today, whatever works for you. Maybe it's buying someone a cup of coffee, giving someone a compliment, saying something nice, sharing something you've learned today. Whatever works for you, that's all we ask for. I'm glad that you're trusting me with your time today. So let's see, I am Nancy Sawyer. I'm a life coach, and I teach intentional living and midlife mastery. I have, when I speak, I have some notes, and I do speak from notes, but I also speak from my heart. So I am not a polished speaker, and I want to thank you for allowing me to show up authentically as myself in my imperfect state. So thank you for that. I'm glad you're here today. I'm very excited about this topic. I'm excited because since I have been a certified coach, I've had a lot of people ask me what coaching is, what's it all about? Is coaching right for me? How do I know if if coaching can help me? So I find myself explaining a lot about what it is, how it works, and who's a good candidate for coaching, really. So our topic today is all about coaching. What is it? How does it work? And are you a good fit for coaching? So as we start, let's just talk about coaching. What is coaching? A coach is a partner on a path with you as you figure out life, or you want to grow in a particular area of personal growth or in something that you're doing. A coach is like a guide, right? It's an unbiased person to kind of guide you. Sometimes people say, well, I have friends and I have family to help me. A coach is an unbiased person who's not in your inner circle and doesn't know all your inner workings and isn't in your day-to-day, right? So that coach can see things from a bigger perspective and doesn't have the biases that your close friends or your family might have towards you. So that's something to think about. Sometimes people think, oh, I can do it myself. I don't need a coach. And that is true. Most of the things, if you're looking to grow in a certain way, most of the things you probably could do yourself. The difference with having a coach is it's going to happen a lot quicker. If you're trying to get from A to B, if you have someone else to help guide you along the way and ask you the right questions, you're going to have results quicker. And you have to ask yourself, what is my time worth, right? If you can figure out something that takes a few months rather than taking 3 years to figure it out, how much is that worth to you as a person in the time frame of your life? Something else that I want to touch on is the difference between coaching and therapy. A lot of times I get asked that question. So the way I like to explain it is therapy often deals with the past and helping you process through things that have happened in your past, be it traumas, the way you were raised, relationships you've been through that were difficult. The therapy is looking behind, whereas coaching is creating your future. It's putting steps in place to help create the life that you want and improve yourself, add tools to your toolbox, if you will. So, by the way, coaching and therapy can go hand in hand really well, as a matter of fact. By the way, when you are working with a coach, a lot of times things do come up from the past, and we are unpacking some things. That's okay. But if you have some heavy trauma or PTSD or some sort of addiction or mental illness, or you're struggling with depression, anxiety, those are things you want to work with a therapist for. But a coach can also integrate some of those things, integrate that information into helping you create paths forward to accomplish what you want to accomplish in your life. So coaching and therapy can go hand in hand really well. I just want to mention that I forgot to mention at the beginning, if you have questions that you want to ask, let's put them in the chat, okay? I'm going to have you put those in the chat and just pop them in there. I'll check and take a pause every few minutes if I see something come in, and I can address that either in between points or perhaps at the end, okay? All right, so how do you know if you're ready for coaching? Maybe you've thought about it. Maybe you've seen some things come up in your social media feeds. Maybe you've met someone who says, hey, I'm a coach, you should look at this, or someone has recommended someone to you. How do you know if you're ready? The first question I want to ask you is, do you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Now that may come to you and you may say, what the heck is a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? A fixed mindset is someone who basically believes that life happens to them. You think that things happen to you and you don't really have control over it. And you're often in a state of reactionary mode, reactionary living. A growth mindset is someone who thinks, you know, if you have a failure or something doesn't work out, you don't say I'm a failure. You say, wow, that didn't work out, but I can try again. Or what lessons did I learn and how can I improve upon what I'm doing? So a growth mindset means you're open to constant improvement and you see possibilities, you see opportunities, you see challenges as ways to step up and to grow and to get through them, rather than seeing challenges as a dead end and something you have to stop and run away from. So in order to be ready for coaching, you want to have a growth mindset. You want to see challenges as opportunities, and you want to see possibilities in front of you. I have a couple of questions to ask you so that you can gauge if you're ready for coaching. Can you admit that you're wrong sometimes? That you might be wrong and that you're not always right? Are you willing to consider that what you believe may not be true? Are you open to honest feedback? When someone questions you, do you consider it to be criticism and do you get defensive? Or are you able to really look at yourself and say, yeah, maybe I did overreact, or maybe I did react in anger and I didn't need to react that way? Are you willing to dive deep into your patterns and your past to look at what's really holding you back? A lot of times when we're trying to change or trying to get our life in a certain direction, get from A to B, there's something holding us back. And in order to discover that, it does take some digging. So let's move on. Another question, am I a good candidate for coaching? Not everyone is coachable. I'm reminded a couple of years ago when I was going through some training, I was talking to my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, and I was explaining to her, she was asking me about coaching. What is coaching and how does it work? And I said, not everyone is coachable. And she said, well, who is coachable? Like, what makes someone coachable? What makes them good for that? So this is how you know if you're a good candidate for coaching. Are you aware of your limitations? Are you aware of places where you need to grow personally? Have you maybe tried everything, but you feel stuck? If you know you're trying to change a habit or you want to add something to your life and you're struggling to kind of get there. Maybe sometimes you respond with anger oftentimes. Maybe you feel frustrated at your kids and you yell at them more than you'd like to, more than you're comfortable with. And you're thinking, geez, maybe I need to work on this. Maybe you're in the middle of a life transition, or you've just been through a life transition and you're thinking, okay, I need to pick myself up and move forward, but I'm not really sure what to do. I don't know what the steps are. You want to build your next chapter, but you're not really sure where to start. Maybe you just got promoted at work and you need some new skills to be successful in your new position. And you know that, but you're not really sure how to develop them. So do you know what needs improvement in yourself? Are you self-aware? Have you maybe identified some triggers and you struggle to manage them? And have you tried everything, but you just can't manage to break a bad habit? You know, we live in an age of information overload. There is so much information available to us. If you have a problem or a challenge, you can find a workshop, a podcast, a book, a self-help book, a personal growth book, a guru, a meme, a quote. You can find something that will address whatever it is your challenge is, right? And sometimes I was stuck in this cycle for years, trying to fix myself. I went to the talks and the webinars and the books and all that, but I wasn't able to help myself push through some of my challenges. And that's because you're so close to it. We have this tunnel vision when we know we need to work on a habit or we want to integrate something into our lives. I want to get better organized. I want to work on my emotional triggers and controlling those. We can do it ourselves by finding all the information out there, but oftentimes we get stuck because we cannot see what is blocking us. And when you have a coach, again, who's not in your inner circle, they can see things. They can identify patterns and behaviors that may be detrimental to you and help you understand how those things are blocking you. So working with a coach, you're going to get a more targeted approach. Coaches know what to look for in patterns, and we know the questions to ask so that you can get breakthroughs. So let's talk about different types of coaches. There are lots of different types of coaches out there. There are all different niches. There are people who work with just men, just women, just teenagers, mompreneurs, CEOs, what else? Money mindset coaches, mastery of pretty much anything. There are actually a lot of coaches for coaches too, because we as coaches understand the value of coaching. So there are different niches and different programs for whatever you're looking for. You're very likely to find a coach that specializes in a particular thing that relates to you. There are all sorts of different programs out there. Some coaches offer one-on-one sessions, just a single session. Some require you to sign on for a month or 3 months or 6 months. There are different programs out there. Some of them have group workshops that you can join in. There are lots of different options out there. So as you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about stepping in and you think you might be ready for coaching, it's important that you get the right fit for you. It's kind of like dating, actually. You can't just go and say, oh yeah, they're a coach and I'm a person who wants a coach, so it's going to be a great fit and they'll fix me. That's not how it works. You have to get to know the coach a little bit. You want to find a coach that you like, their style, their vibe, how they deliver information, someone that you feel comfortable with, because a coaching relationship is a very close relationship. You're going to have more success and have more breakthroughs if you're very comfortable with your coach and you can be very honest and open and vulnerable. You know, if you're keeping things back or holding things back, then you're not going to have the success that you want to have. And let's be honest, coaching costs money. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in yourself and in your growth. So we don't want you to be wasting money, and we don't want you to be wasting time. So it's important to find that fit so that you can get the coaching that you need for where you want to go and who you want to be to help create your life. Let's move on to talk about how will your coach help you? How does it actually work? If you haven't had a coach before, what I want you to know is a coach will not solve your problems. I know, sometimes people are devastated to hear that. A coach is not going to solve your problems for you. A good coach knows that you are the only one who can solve your problems, and you're the one who can step in and get yourself to where you want to be, okay? You have the answers within yourself. We're not going to give you the answers, okay? Because coaches aren't here to tell you what to do. They're not going to tell you, you have to do this and this and this and this. If you want to be more organized, you have to do this, this, and this, and this. Absolutely, we will offer suggestions. We will hand you some resources. Hey, recommend, have you heard of this book? How about this podcast? We can definitely make recommendations, but you have to do the work and you have to find the answers within yourself. Because the other thing about being human is we all have our own unique makeup. We bring our unique stuff to the table. So a solution that works for someone else won't necessarily work for you. And this is all part of the journey, right? It's learning about yourself, about how you're wired. How do you learn best? Or how do you integrate habits in a way that works for you? Because what works for one person does not work for everybody. And a lot of this is trial and error, just like everything in life. It's trial and error. And when you have a coach that can kind of guide you and ask you the right questions and follow up and keep you accountable, that's how you're going to make progress in your life. So your coach is there to help you, but not to do the work for you. You have to do the work, and you have to show up for yourself and make that commitment to yourself. So let me ask you something. Do you think you're ready for coaching? If you don't, if you're not sure, you may be wondering, well, how can I get ready for coaching? Or what do I need to do? The number one thing I can recommend, if you have not had a coach before, and you think you might want to have a coach, is to start becoming an observer of yourself. You want to become a student of yourself. Step outside yourself and observe. Like you're watching a movie. If you think of it as you're watching a movie and you're the main character, can you observe your life from outside like it's on a movie screen? What do you see when you do that? Do you see patterns? Do you see things that need improvement? Do you see behaviors? Do you see triggers? Is it Groundhog Day again? Is it the same thing every single day? And you wonder why you're not fulfilled, right? Whatever it is you want to do, if you want to be more successful in parenting, what you want to do is you want to step outside and observe yourself. How am I parenting? Am I showing up in the way that I want to? And if you're not, what needs to change. And then you can seek out resources to try and change those things. Again, with a coach, it's going to be more targeted, and you're most likely going to get there quicker, but there are a lot of resources out there to help yourself. Here on Life Coach University, there are a bunch of coaches that are very talented and very wise and can help with great breakthroughs. So I would say start looking there if you are looking for a coach. All right, so becoming a student of yourself, we just talked about. So let me just kind of review a little bit here. You're a great candidate for coaching. If you're aware of something about yourself that needs changing, or that there's something you want to do, maybe you want to change careers, maybe you want to choose your college you're going to, maybe you want to get into a healthy relationship, you want to make your relationship better that you're already in, maybe you want to become a better parent, maybe you want to get control of your budget and your money. There's so many things, ways that we can improve ourselves, right, and make our lives better, create the life of our dreams that we really, when we were little, that we envisioned growing up into. So you're a good candidate if you're aware of what needs to change and you're willing to put in the time and the effort to change that. So perhaps you do know there's something that you want to change and you've been trying. Maybe you've attended a webinar or a workshop, maybe you've bought a book, maybe you have tried some new systems with staying organized or whatever it might be. And maybe you just haven't been successful on your own. So if you've been trying something, you've been trying to make it better or fix something and it's not working, that's a good indication that you might need some outside help and that a coach could help you. Because a coach can help you find that breakthrough that maybe you're not aware of, right? Because again, we're close to it. And when you're too close to things, you don't have the gift of perspective where you can see the bigger picture. So a coach can often see things that you can't. A coach can also ask you questions that dig deeper and deeper to figure out the root of the problem, what's actually blocking you. I want to share a story. I have, there's a client I worked with once, and one of their struggles was their to-do list. Their to-do list, they felt constant overwhelm and always like a failure because they were never able to complete their to-do list. And they felt like a slave to it. It was causing quite a bit of distress and anxiety in their life. In working with this client, I asked some questions and we actually figured out that this client they really didn't want to be controlled. They had a big aversion to being controlled. And where it landed for them was that by having this list, they felt that they were being controlled because they had to follow the list. And as a result of that, aversion to being controlled, they avoided the list. They were angry at the list. They didn't like the list. And so they didn't do the things on the list because of a deep-seated feeling of not wanting to be controlled. Once we dug that out, once we teased that out and talked about that and talked through it, we realized that, you know, the to-do list does not have to be your enemy. It can be your friend. So these are the things that, it's just an example of how deep things can go. It can seem like a very surface level thing. Oh, my to-do list is a pain in the butt. I can't stand it. But sometimes these things go very deep. And when we can dig deep and figure out the root of why we're avoiding or why we're angry or whatever it is, then we can address that and move forward and be successful. All right, again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. So when we work on, a coach can work with you on changing that mindset. Once we discover the root of the challenge, we can work with you on changing the mindset, and that's very helpful. Okay, so just taking a breath here. The other thing about coaching is a coach may call you out on things, and will ask you some tough questions. And so coaching isn't all fun and games. It can be very challenging. It can be difficult. So it's important to know, are you willing to face some questioning, to really look at yourself in the mirror and look at the parts of you that maybe you don't like as much, maybe that are more difficult for you to look at. But the beauty of that is by doing that and facing those parts of ourselves that we don't like so much, we can change them. We can create ourselves into a better version of ourselves. So it doesn't have to be a negative thing to look at the parts of ourselves that we maybe like a little bit less than other parts of ourselves, because we are all works in progress and we have the power. We have the power to create whatever we want. So again, you're going to want to get curious about yourself. If you notice yourself getting triggered, getting angry, getting upset about something, you have a strong reaction, you want to pay attention to that. You want to get curious about that. Why did that bother me so much? Why did I get so angry? And once you develop the ability to get curious about yourself, then you're on the path to personal growth. That's really the most basic thing that once you're able to do, you are on a path to personal growth. And once you start getting on that path, things can come fast and furious, especially if you're working with a good coach who can help you have breakthrough after breakthrough. So you can move forward. There are some people who work with coaches for years and years. Some people cycle in and out. They go in for a month or a few months or a year, and then they cycle out. And then other people stay with a coach for years and years and years and have amazing personal growth. So you're going to want to figure out what's right for you. Just going to look at my notes here. I want to share with you a story of myself. About 8 years ago, I had a clothing business, a wholesale clothing business, and I was struggling with some things, and someone said, "Oh, you should have a business coach." So I hired a business coach. She was lovely. She did all the right things. But you know what? I didn't have success with it because I didn't do the right things. I hired a coach because someone said, "You should hire a coach." I did not hire a coach for the right reasons. So it's really important you're hiring a coach for the right reasons. The reasons has to be that you want to change your life. You want to grow, you want to learn, and you have to be willing to get uncomfortable, because you are going to be required to create new habits, to look deeply within at yourself. And if you're not in that space for the right reasons, it's not going to be successful for you. So you have to have a great desire to change for coaching to be successful. You have to have a desire that is stronger than your desire to be comfortable and stay who you are. So just a couple other points as I start wrapping it up here. I want you to pay attention, if when someone asks you a difficult question or calls you out on something, if you react with anger or defensiveness, that may mean that you're holding on to your beliefs very, very tightly. And you might not be in a space where you can question yourself and get curious in a way that you need to. You may not be open to coaching and to learning and growing. So if someone asks you, why did you react with anger when this happened? If you get defensive and are in a victim mindset, blaming things on everyone else, you might, again, not be in a space yet where coaching will help you. So start thinking about that. Start paying attention to your reactions. Start paying attention as you go through your day. When do you feel great? When do you feel not so great? What upsets you? What frustrates you? Where do you wish you could, you had more skills? You had more things in your toolbox? How do you envision your life in a few years? And do you be honest with yourself? Can you get there by yourself? Can you get there without the help of an unbiased party to sort of guide you and hold you accountable? Sometimes we say, we kind of have these dreams in the future. Oh, I want to be able to retire at a certain age, or I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be a great mom, whatever it is that you want. We have these dreams. And the difference between people who are successful with that and people who are just dreamers are the people who are successful actually put things in place to make these things happen. And then they do the work to make these things happen. And they also get the support they need to make these things happen. So that's something to think about. So as you're thinking about this, if a coach can help you and if a coach is right for you, how important is it to you to grow and change? Do you really want to change? We get very comfortable in our patterns, in our spaces, in our comfort zones. And sometimes we say we want to change, but we really don't. So that's something to think about. Are you okay with discomfort? Are you okay with stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying something new? And do you have the perseverance to keep trying new things, even if some of them don't work, right? It's all about your attitude and your mindset, right? If you have a dream or something you want to achieve or accomplish in the future, you're going to get there with perseverance and with guided direction when you know where you're going, and then you're putting the steps in place to that space. So that's where a coach can really come in and help you, especially with the accountability and with creating the right steps for you. Again, the for you is a huge piece of it, because what works for one person does not work for someone else. So if you're not okay with the same old, then it's time to step forward, to step up. Ask yourself the question, what are you leaving on the table? To stay the same you, what are you leaving on the table? How will your life look in 6 months or a year or 5 years if you just continue to be the same and to react to life rather than addressing things and creating your life? So I would say that coaching can absolutely help you if you're willing to change, if you know where you want to go, if you're willing to put in the time, and if you're willing to invest in yourself. It is an investment. And if you're eager to create your life rather than react to life. In our society, a lot of times we go through our schooling, our elementary and junior high and high school, and then maybe we go to college and maybe we do some post-grad work. And then a lot of times we stop. You get a job, you get a career, maybe you get married, you have kids, whatever it may be. And the growth stops. And I would encourage you to take control of your life, right? You got to take charge of your life, because life throws us things, and it's going to do that no matter what. But we have the opportunity to step up and create the life that we want, to create the life of our dreams, if we have the courage to show up and to do the work. Okay. So thank you for joining this today. I hope that you got some insight about coaching. I hope this has made sense to you. I hope it helps to define a little bit, if you've had some questions about coaching, what it is and how it can help you. And our only ask today is that you pay it forward. If you got some tips today, or you're leaving with some new information that makes your life a little bit better, how can you pay it forward? What can you do today that puts a smile on someone else's face, or makes the world a better place in a very small way or a very big way? And I would even say that you can pay it forward with some self-love as well. Give yourself some love today as you go about your day. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. I'm Nancy Sawyer.